Today's video, we're going to talk about how to get more phone calls rather than form fills, if that's your problem, or if your problem is you would like more form fills instead of phone calls. I'm going to also cover exactly what you need to do that on today's video. Before you get to the end of the video, you will have the magic formula we're going to use when our clients say, Corey, we want more calls, we want more form fills. And for different markets, actually one is better than the other. Like if you're in home services, you want phone calls, not form fills. If you're doing professional services and selling to other businesses, like an advertising agency that we have, or if you're also selling like building a consulting services, something like that, you would also want form fills versus phone calls. Because in the business space, generally speaking, people will fill out, a lackey at the company will fill out 5 or so forms to get a bunch of quotes, demos, whatever, and they're not calling, at least the serious ones. So for that matter, if you're ultimately optimizing the profitability of your ad campaigns you're running on Google when you optimize for phone calls versus form fills. And the answer isn't what I see a lot of other people out there, other ad experts are saying, which is to tell Google, hey, I want one over the other, because that's not at all what I'm focusing on today's video. I'm focusing on what you're going to specifically do on your landing page. And yes, you do need to use a landing page to make money with Google Ads in today's environment, but specifically what you do on your landing page will decide if you get one or the other. Then, of course, if when you add on top of that, you tell Google that you want one or the other, then that's icing on the cake, but it's not a solution in and itself, as you're going to find out on this video. And then if you stay to the end of the video, I'm going to go over some actual case studies where we use this exact method to switch from getting form fills to phone calls, or on the opposite end of the spectrum, we were getting mainly phone calls to get more form fills, or some phone calls, but we wanted mainly all form fills, I should say. I'm going to cover those case studies and how much of a difference this made shifting the conversions we were getting from one to the other, either phone calls to forms or forms to phone calls. Before I get into the content though, I want to also mention who I am. I am Corey Zyman, owner of Guaranteed PPC, an online advertising agency that specializes in guaranteeing results for their clients. That is, we do not charge our clients management fees until we can get them a certain minimum lift in the profitability, basically in excess of the management fee that we charge. We are the only agency out there who offers any kind of similar contingency guarantee, which should tell you something about the quality of the information on this video. So with that said, getting into the content here. So in order to get more phone calls, first of all, than form fills, or mostly phone calls versus form fills, you have to do, I put 2, there's three things here in order to get this done every time. And this is a method that will work for all of you who want this for your business. First of all, you're going to know what people want from the sales process itself, okay? So if you are a carpet cleaner, you need to know what people want when they call. They want to know the price, probably, right? But maybe they also want to know, can you do carpet like I need? Like, do you do shag carpet, whatever it is? And that could be the case. But for the most part, when you're talking about businesses that mainly generate phone calls, I want to say as a whole, they're mainly going to be looking for what is the price going to cost / can I get in? Do you have an opening? Do you have an availability? Being the top 2 main things, but price, just to keep it simple here. So once you know what they want, let's say price with carpet cleaning, that's what they want to know, what it's going to cost for 2 bedrooms in this part of town, whatever. Then you're going to be promising it to them in a multi-step form. So as I mentioned, this is going to be a method where we change what's on the landing page, not on the ad, not on the campaign structure, the tracking, none of that. And on your landing page, and I use these all the time now. This is where everything's going because it simplifies stuff for the user. You have your landing page here. Let's assume that this is your landing page. Instead of having your normal like headline, subheadline, and then your form here, let's say what a lot of people will do. Instead of that, you're going to do a landing page where your headline is centered, and then you have like a subheadline or a bullet point underneath that, and then a question or prompt underneath that, and then a drop-down box that allows you to select from the box there what you want, or a field to put in some text. And what this will basically say, like for carpet cleaning, it'll say, carpet cleaning in Chicago. Best prices in Chicago, fastest service, we're 5-star rated, whatever. Then it's going to say underneath that, find out in 60 seconds what your carpet cleaning is going to cost. Above that, also that drop-down box, it's going to say, how many rooms do you have to have cleaned? And then the drop-down box is going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. And once they answer the first question, which is a low-ball question, everybody knows how many rooms they have without having to think very, very hard. Then the next question is going to be like, how soon do you need it or whatever. And there's going to be 3 or 4 or 5 questions in line like that once they answer the first, another question pops up. When they answer that, another, or it could be they answer the first question and then a form with multiple questions show up, which I don't like that as much because people don't like filling out forms. And when you hit them with a bunch of fields at once, they're more likely to abandon the process altogether. What this is going to do though, is it's going to get people, because we know what they want, which is the price. We're going to get out of in front of that. We still have the phone number up right here so that they can just call the normal way. But we have this form here knowing that a lot of people are not going to want to call to get the price. And we're going to act like we're going to be able to give them the price by filling out this form. And that's what they're going to think, or should I say, which is what we want them to think. They start filling out the form. It gets to the end of the 4 or 5 question sequence there. Then going into the third part here, we're going to have the last part set up to where when they finish that, the last question or one of the questions in that sequence needs to be, what's your phone number? Then when they get to the end of that, it's immediately going to call your sales staff or call center, and it's going to allow the salesperson there to robotic message that says, John Smith just filled out your form on your landing page. Press 1 if you'd like to get in contact with John Smith. You hit 1 on your phone, that immediately calls. The salesperson hears the phone ringing. It calls the person who just filled out the form, and then you're talking with the person immediately. Your landing page said get a price quote in 60 seconds or less. You're giving that to them, even though the initial thought of the user is this algorithm here is going to tell me how much it is without having to call somebody. The reality was you collected all their information, which is going to pop up on the salesperson's phone or computer, and then you're going to tell them what the quote is going to be on the phone, or you're going to say, quote's going to be between this and this. We have to come out to your house to actually give you the final quote, but that's roughly what it's going to be. And so you're not lying to the person. You're just using the form to generate the phone call, if that makes sense. This is a formula we use all the time now. So if you want mainly phone calls and you want more phone calls in general, both of those things absolutely should happen once you use this formula versus the standard formula everybody else uses. Implement this into your landing pages. Trust me, you will thank me once you've done this. That's the formula right there. Now, on the other side of the equation, if you want to be able to get more form fills here instead of phone calls, which like if you're doing business to business sales, selling to people that want to outsource their call center services, you want form fills, those are the serious ones, versus the phone calls itself. In that type of market, it's similar, okay? You're going to find out what customers or clients want to achieve in general. Not what they want from the phone call per se, but what they want to achieve here. Then at that point in time, you're going to offer, going into step 2, the multi-step form is going to be set up to pitch offering it to them. So for the call center solution services, you want to, like where you would outsource your call handling to a call center, answering service, whatever, you would have on your landing page here, instead of what I mentioned before, it's going to say, call center services, get all your phone calls answered quickly and with the best customer service possible. And then you're going to have a question underneath it. Once you know what it is that they want, let's say that they want to be able to get specialized call handling, like to where if I'm a doctor, I want to know I'm going to get somebody who has medical training. You could say, get the perfect call center for your business type. And then it could say, I have a question underneath it. What type of business do you have? And then that'll get them to start this process where you'll get them to fill out the form versus just calling you and asking the question, do you have people with a medical background that can take calls from a medical center versus just, high school dropouts here answering the phone? Okay. If you want more form fills and you were, let's say, a personal trainer here, to give you another example, you could have your question start out by asking people, what kind of results do you want? And then the drop down could be lose 10 pounds or lose 20 pounds or lose fat or gain muscle or, get an hourglass figure, whatever, okay? People want that particular outcome. Or you could say, Fat Loss Center, answer these questions in order to lose 20 pounds of fat based upon your body type. And then you could say, what type of body do you have? And then the drop down could be, really fat, whatever. And then by answering all those questions, they think that they're going to get at the end of this sequence here, the information that's going to be able to explain what they need to do to lose that fat. In reality, you still got their information. You could call them up after, if you will, and deal with them. Or you could put it into an email drip sequence and start a whole sequence based upon their answers that they gave. But in general, if you want more form fills, instead of just saying, hey, bottom line here is, instead of saying, hey, fill out this form, we'll contact you, find out what they actually want. They want to know that their car is going to get detailed. People want to know what their options are in terms of getting a car detailed, because a lot of times they're not an expert in it. And then your questions could be, figure out the right car detailing option for you. And then they start the process, and then you still get their information. That makes it more likely they'll fill it out itself. So instead of just calling and asking questions. So that's, in general, the formula there. Getting more form fills than phone calls and pushing everything through the form itself. I've got several examples of different markets where we did this that I mentioned I was going to go through here. But before I do, if you haven't subscribed to this channel already, you absolutely should, because the information on this channel is coming from somebody who does ad strategy all day long in my day job, and I spend my weekends sharing all that information about what works and what doesn't work that I find at our firm for you to be able to use. And I manage about 50 different accounts in terms of doing the strategy. We've got a team that works with me to help manage the accounts, but I do the strategy on all the accounts, and therefore there's no better information to get info about how to make millions of dollars a year running ads for your business other than what you're going to get from myself on this channel. So you should subscribe if you haven't already. The information's better than any other information on YouTube about that specific topic. Subscribe, go ahead. And then furthermore, check out my blog. If you like the channel already, go to my blog on my site at guaranteedppc.com/blog. The blog has step-by-step instructions on how to use the strategies we're actually using to guarantee results for clients at our firm, step by step, with the screenshots, with everything you need to use them. So if you like the channel, you're going to like the blog as well. If you have any questions about anything I covered here today and you think your situation is unique, you want to know about your unique situation, you can always leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel, usually within 24 hours time. And it could be any marketing related question, by the way, that you can ask me. I don't care what your question's about. If you want to know the meaning of life, ask me a question in the comment section. I get back to everybody just as a way of saying thank you for watching the channel and, of course, making the channel grow. So with that said, now as far as the case studies here, we've done this so many times. I mean, by default now, these multi-step forms work so good. And the kind of formula that I described, top center page, works so good. That's my default position now I'm going to try to go with. But especially if somebody tells me, hey, Corey, I need more form fills than phone calls. The form fills are gold. Or I need phone calls. The phone calls are gold. This is my go-to every time. And it should be for you as well, because I've tested a lot of things. But the first case study I wanted to share here was for a competitive analysis firm. You hire this firm basically to give you information on your competitors, what they're selling currently, what they're planning, specifically how they're running their business. So basically a corporate spy, okay? Put it bluntly, if you will. They get on all their conference calls, all this stuff to collect information. They pretend like they're an employee, all that stuff. And with this, we had before a landing page that was pretty standard, like we used to do for years, where we say competitor analysis services, competitor spy services. With that said, we got some form fills, some phone calls. The form fills are better than the phone calls. Typically, that's the way that it's going to work in the B2B service space for selling to businesses different services. However, we switched to using a centered design, like I mentioned before, and we said we were a competitive analysis firm. Like I mentioned, what we did originally with the original landing page itself. And our drop down, going back to what I was saying before, is what you want to do with when you want more form fills is you want to find out what they want to achieve and then ask them what they would like to achieve essentially in that before the drop down on your landing page. So you're going to say, like what we had in this case, what would you like to know about your competitors? Drop down, I would like to know what products they're working on. I would like to know, are they planning any price changes and so forth. That was the initial question. So that got the process started. And then we can ask them more questions. And actually at the end of the day, having this multi-step form is actually great because you get more information than you normally would, because if you would have put 15 questions on one form for them to answer, they would just abandon it at a high rate. In that particular case, how much of a difference in our form fills that we were getting do you think that we got going from the standard where it's just like headline, subheadline, then form, versus what would you like to get out of your competitors in terms of competitive analyses? Well, I can tell you that we had 411% increase in forms when we introduced this landing page formula right here versus the original standard one everybody else uses, which is why I said earlier that you typically this is going to be our go-to for landing pages because it makes such a big difference in the conversion rate when we use it. The form fill data was at better quality because they were more involved in the process. They give us more intimate information, which, by the way, if you ask for the phone number in the second or third question, then you can ask them all kinds of questions on the back end. A, they'll answer them because they don't want to feel like they wasted their time answering the few questions they did answer already. But B, it's all free. I mean, even if they stop on question 3, you still got their phone number, you still got their email. And if they answer all 15 questions, they're more likely to convert because they've invested so much time in the process and the salesperson has good information so that when they initially contact them, they can be effective right away. So there's multiple reasons for doing this itself. Of course, in addition to having just a lot more form fills coming in general, when people get to the site, they like to see this different approach where we're acting like we want to give them help right away and with their specific needs for what they specifically want versus just fill out the form and we'll have somebody contact you. So that's case study number 1. Case study number 2 here was an auto detailing shop. So this is one where we wanted more calls. And I touched on this one a bit earlier in the video, but specifically what we did in this case here to get phone calls is we had our form there, but instead of the usual one-step form, it was a multi-step form. And like I mentioned earlier as well, we had asked, how would you like your car detailed? See your options. And then we had, in this particular case, 3 options, good, better, best. They would click that. Then it would say, do you care about your inside or outside being detailed or both? It was a series of questions. And then ultimately it would explain to them what it is that you can get done for their vehicle type and type of vehicle they have and what the price range is generally going to be. So we basically didn't even tell them what they're going to be paying for this. We were just telling them, do you want to know how we can detail your car? Given a lot of people don't know about car detailing and how it works. There's a lot of people doing it for the first time. Otherwise, if they had somebody, they would just go with that other person already, right? Unless, of course, people can mess up and whatnot. People want to know right away what they can do. So it was a really good engagement device to get people started on the page and increase our conversion rate to where we're getting like 30% of the people to fill out to contact us as a whole on the landing page versus before we're getting 10 to 15%. It gets more people just to convert in general, but also, it gets more actual phone calls given that multi-step form immediately kicked off a phone call using call drip so that basically every form fill is a phone call. We didn't take regular form fills anymore. We asked them, what do you want to, basically see your options of how you're going to get the car detailed. And then once they entered in their information, a call was kicked off and then the person on the phone would see through, okay, I see you like your inside detail and you don't care about your engine, but da. And so every lead became a phone call. So that in itself, what do you think that increased our calls versus your standard landing page that we were using before that just said, call us or fill out this form to have a salesperson contact you? We got 88% more calls in that particular case doing it that way. So not nearly as dramatic as the results with the competitive analysis firm, but quite substantial. Primarily through having a better engagement device and have a landing page that was better on the eyes for the user but also because all the people that just were wanting to fill out a form and really wanted that exclusively, that all just turned into phone calls. So that's our second example. There's another company here though, a siding company I wanted to talk about, which we also got a fantastic increase in number of calls using a multi-step form on our landing page. With that said, or in addition to that though, I want to also mention that if you want somebody to create a really fantastic landing page that'll do one or the other, get you more calls or more form fills, reach out to my agency at guaranteedppc.com. I will tell you personally how to do that. We'll do the work for you and we'll guarantee you a result. That is more leads, more profit before taking a fee. We're the only agency that offers a guarantee, like I mentioned earlier in the video. And so if you'd like that, reach out to me. I also can do a little bit of coaching or consulting with you if you don't like hiring agencies, and just tell you how to get from where you're at now to the next stage in your business in terms of increase in revenue, increase in profit, where, find out where your bottlenecks are in your business. Because for a lot of the people that reach out to my firm that are not getting results, it's not the ads that's the issue. It's the website, it's the pricing strategy or whatever. And I'm really good at, consulting businesses on what the true bottlenecks are. And then if you fix those things, the ads will work now. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I also have ad templates though available as well. So if you don't want to work with us outright, you can buy our template. If we worked in your niche market already, like a car detailer, shop, a competitive analysis firm, like I mentioned before, we can just sell you the winning ads, landing pages, campaign templates that work for your niche market already. And with that, you then have everything you need to get the results that we did in a different city or country that you're in. And it's easy, and we can tell you the results you're going to get with it up front. The templates are actually so efficient that we've been running for years already that, basically it's a business in a box. You throw up the template, run the campaign. I mean, you could outsource everything about the delivery of that product and service and still make money because you have the template already. That's the hardest part to get a business to work, is getting the marketing and advertising set up right so it's crushing all the competitors. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I can let you know of the 100 plus different niche markets, what results we got and what's available in terms of templates there. Just reach out to me and I'll let you know what list. I'll send you the actual list of templates that we have and what results we can get for you in those markets that you might be interested in. With that said, the final company I wanted to also mention here was the siding company. So in addition to, I was mentioning before, we had our standard landing page for this company, form, phone, hey, contact us, whatever. We had the form here, and then we said, get a quote to get siding for your house in 60 seconds or less. And then the multi-step form was here itself, and it says to find out how much it's going to be, fill out your address. That was the first question, and then there was other questions there. Even though ultimately, again, we could not give just to be clear here, we could not even give a real quote over the phone because somebody, even if they were using Google Earth images and the client sent pictures over the phone, there still needs to be actual measurements and to know how much material is going to be needed. But the person over the phone could say, okay, well, what's the square footage of your house? And give them a ballpark. So it wasn't completely misleading. And this in itself increased the phone calls that we were getting a ton, because the form fills turned, using Call Drip, which is the software used to do this, generated the phone call from the form fill submission that we got. And then of course, some people still called the number on the top right of the page. But how much do you think that increased our phone calls versus just saying, contact a salesperson by filling out this form? Well, in this case, it was 126% increase in calls that we got switching over to this multi-step form process, which, and this is going to be standard in terms of your results. Going from a single to a multi-step form, your results are going to be better 80+% of the time. Again, this is something that, basically I'm going to go try to use by default from now on because it's so effective. And I shouldn't even be talking about this because, you guys start using it and I'm in a market that you're in, we're going to struggle. But hey, that's what I do on this channel, is I talk about stuff that works and I don't hold back. But for that matter, that is, as you can see here, this is a massively profitable thing. And it not only just can get you phone calls when you didn't have phone calls before, but it gets you more phone calls. And same thing with the form fills in and itself. It'll get you more form fills, not just a higher percentage of form fills, which it will do if you do it right, like I mentioned here with the several examples I gave you. But it gets you more form fills because people love these multi-step forms as it looks cool. Yes, I want to know how much I can save on my taxes. Yes, I want to know how much this auto detailing is going to cost and how I can actually get it for my specific make of vehicle. It's really cool to see that and do that. People like that. They like clicking buttons. They don't like filling out forms. And they often don't like calling just to find out how much something is on top of it, personally. I do also want to mention that I have a fantastic idea for you here, an opportunity. If you want the best ad results that you can get, and you just don't want to go through the hassle of setting up all the ads, watching the videos on this channel to learn how this stuff is done, which it's all on here for free, legitimately, we could come in, that is our agency at Guaranteed PPC, could come into your company and set up all your ads for free and give you tens of thousands of dollars with the advertising to run your ads. In exchange, if you're partnering with us, we can take a percentage of your revenue growth in your business as a result of our efforts in exchange for what we're delivering to you for free, which is free advertising essentially in a nutshell. We've partnered with several firms like this where we'll take a percentage of 1 to 10% of the future gross revenue of the company that's made in addition to any future revenue or any revenue that you have now. This is the overall revenue, not just from the ads, but your overall revenue growth. And we'll take that percentage and that is our payment for growing your sales. And we'll do everything we can to get you more sales. And you only have to pay us when your sales go up. If you're interested in that, let me know and we'll look into what you have and see if there's an opportunity for us to do that there. And if we would be interested in that. But we are looking for great products or services that they have everything but advertising covered, that we can just sprinkle our stuff on top and your business just explodes. Because if it's a great product or service, with our level of expertise, it will. So with that said, I'm going to wrap everything up with that. Thank you very much for watching as usual, and I'll see you in the next one.
Remember when I said landing pages was important during this video? Well, this video here tells you how to do it.